Hi, thank you so much for joining us here with SheBoss. I am with Grace Anello, Morning Meteorologist here at WAAY 31 News. I am so excited to talk with you today. We have been looking forward to this for a while. Our team really admires Grace and the work that she does in STEM and in our community. And I'm so excited. Thank you for coming.
I am too. Thank you for having me. This was an honor, and I'm excited to hang out. This will be good.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's just start from your beginning. Tell us where you're from and some of your background.
So I was born actually not far from Little Italy. My whole family's super Italian. I was born in Connecticut, but I was raised in Atlanta. And so I say I'm an Atlanta girl, and that was really fun. And then I went to school at Mississippi State for college, and now I'm here in Huntsville.
Nice. So tell us, growing up, what kind of started the passion that you have for science?
So it kind of came late in the game, quite honestly. So I have two older brothers, and my whole life, they're much older. My whole life, I just always wanted to do what they were doing for their career. One of them wanted to be a lawyer, so I wanted to be a lawyer. One wanted to be a physical therapist, so that's what I wanted to do. And then be an eye doctor, and it just kind of kept going that way. And I was really in high school when I thought, okay, wait a minute. I'm going to sign up for something for my whole life that I didn't even really pick. So I started really thinking about what I wanted to do and kind of settled on being an eye doctor. And then took chemistry and was like, that's an immediate and hard no. So then transferred over to physics. That was the time I was taking honors physics in high school. And turns out I loved it. All of the calculations, all of the speed. I thought it was exciting, the motion of the science, you know. It's not just something that sits on a page flat. It's how things actually move around you. And so I loved translating that, seeing like what I was doing in my homework. I could see when I was at volleyball practice, you know, I could see the acceleration and I could see the angle of trajectory and things like that. And so then I just really looked for, okay, what can I do that involves physics in a profession? And I didn't want to be just a lab coat scientist. I wanted something where I could have a personality and hang out with people. So it kind of backdoored into weather, quite honestly. And I always liked it. You know, I always loved weather. But it honestly was more of an analytical decision than it was anything else. And then turns out I just became completely fascinated with the combination of the two. And so it worked out really well.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You mentioned volleyball, and just from little we know about you and behind the camera, we know of your competitive nature. So did that start from your big brothers, or how did that work?
Without question. So I come from a family of athletes. My dad played basketball in college. My mom was a track star. My brothers are very large and competitive as well. And that just was always what we did for fun. Every Thanksgiving, every Christmas, it was playing in the yard and joking around and wrestling in the living room, you know? And so that became the thing. And like, oh, we'll go easy on baby sister Grace was just not at all how that happened. So it kind of just translated and it stuck with me. And now they joke. They're like, what happened? You're more competitive than the rest of us, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. So outside of sports, what were you interested in?
When I was growing up or now, yeah. There wasn't much outside of sports, to be honest with you. I played on a club team and we competed in the Junior Olympics a couple times. And that was a really big commitment. When I wasn't playing, I was working out, and we had two dogs at home that I just did everything with. We had them from when I was itty bitty, and so always walking them, playing with them, taking pictures of them that they hated, you know? Yes, it was fun.
So watching you on the news, we know you're a huge Mississippi State fan.
Yes.
How did your journey take you to state?
So my older brother, Anthony, committed to play baseball at Mississippi State when I was 11. And so when your sibling is an athlete in college, you go to all their games. And so I just kind of grew up in Starkville, and I really liked it. You know, my parents always made a big deal about safety for me, especially as the only girl. Of we want you to feel safe and we want you to feel happy. You shouldn't have to worry. And so cute little Starkville, Mississippi, where no one ever got hurt ever, was a really easy place for me to want to be. Then, of course, turns out that they're the best meteorology school in the country. And it was like, okay, why would I go anywhere else? You know, I grew up going there. I feel happy and at home there, and I can get this really powerful degree. I think that's what I have to do.
Yes. Tell us more about what you were involved in there.
Everything under the sun. So I wanted to play volleyball there. That did not happen. So I played club volleyball, and that was a lot of fun. And then that actually really forced me to get out of my shell. I had never been anything other than a volleyball player. I was a soccer player, then a gymnast, then a volleyball player, and that's all I was. So not having that was crazy. And I was going to college, meeting these people for the first time, and they didn't know that about me. So I had to find something else to be my identity. And so I just kind of touched on everything. I competed in a pageant for the first time in my life, and that was really great. I was an athletic tutor because I still wanted sports a part of my life. So for baseball, basketball, men's basketball, football, women's golf, and women's tennis, I was an athletic tutor, and that was so fun getting to hang out with those student athletes and teach them. What else did I do? I was involved in helping people have tours in my role as Miss Mississippi State. I was always with prospective new students and their parents. I was in a sorority, a lot of different volunteer organizations. I was involved heavily with Make-A-Wish Foundation. So just kind of whatever came my way, I was doing it. A couple different National Honor Societies, things like that. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about the pageant. If I'm not wrong, you did a science as some sort of science act as your talent?
Yes. So Mississippi State has two pageants, Miss Maroon and White and Miss Mississippi State, Miss MSU. So I competed in Miss Maroon and White first, and that had 38 other women. And I really did it more for the interview experience. I'd never done a pageant in my life. I was like, what is this, you know? But I thought you have to interview in life, and this is an interview-based competition, and so I'll do that. And at worst, I get practice, and if I win, I get a scholarship. So that ended up going really well. I had a wonderful coach in my sorority, and she really helped me. So ended up winning that and was great, which kind of started the fire of, okay, well, maybe I'll do Miss MSU also, and then I'll compete at Miss America organization, and thought, maybe that's the dream, you know? So for Miss MSU, you have to have a competition, and I don't have a talent like musically. So I thought, okay, tried desperately to learn the piano. I was like, I can do this. I enrolled in a piano class. I had a private teacher. Did not happen. So I was like, I just have to do what I can do. So I did science. And I created a forecast. You have 90 seconds. And it was a little bit of, like a spoken word. It was kind of comical, but it also fully gave the science. I walked through terms like condensation nuclei, condensation nucleation, the process with the nuclei. We walked through diurnal heating, different sciencey terms that you may not have known, and did it in 90 seconds in a ball gown on the stage. And they told me after, not only was I the first person at state to compete with a science talent, but I was the first person in the state of Mississippi to compete with a science talent. At the time, Miss America, she had won with a chemistry talent. So I felt really excited to do my science too. So I ended up coming first runner-up, so did not win. But it was pretty cool to kind of make school history in that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I can imagine there was a lot of eyes that were on you in the science community after that.
There were, and there were a lot of eyes on me during the competition. When I walked down, this huge projector screen rolled out behind me, and they're like, well, it's not a microphone. She's not singing.
It's different.
Yes, the judges just kind of stared at me. But yeah, it was great. It went really well, and the reaction from the crowd was really positive. So that was really nice too to hear.
I want to talk about this more later when we get into Grace's Girls Club.
Yeah.
But I can imagine little girls there that kind of being a game changer. Like you're expecting them to sing a song or do dance or do something, but you're all out with that, and that's what you do. Were there any little girls that really looked up to you at that time? I could just see them wanting to take pictures after.
Always. There were always girls. I mean, you wear the crown was fairly large, and then you have a sash that's all bedazzled. So you stick out in every crowd, and I'm 5'10", so put me in heels and a crown and, you notice. Always little girls would come up to me, and they were just so sweet. Most of them thought I was a Barbie. They didn't realize. And they would bring up their little dolls or their little Barbies, and they would just want to take a picture. And I love at that age, you don't have any limits. When you're 4, in your mind, you are limitless. And so they would come to me, I'm going to be just like you one day, and I want to do that, and I can be a Barbie too. And I'd always be like, yeah, and you can, and you should. I'm the shiny example of never done this before. You can do it too. And they were just so sweet. I have so many pictures of little mini-me's and their little outfits, and they were awesome to me. I was really excited to see just their joy,
That's so exciting. I can imagine growing up and me at that age being so excited about that. And think something different, because I can't sing. I'm not a musical talent. So like, oh my goodness, like there's something else. You know what I mean? It would be awesome.
And I remembered when I was in that point.
Yeah.
We used to, so I'm from Atlanta, the big thing was go meet the Falcons cheerleaders every year. And they always went out of their way to be so nice to all the little girls. And they would take pictures with us and sign cards for us and everything else. And so the opportunity to kind of be that for somebody else was really important to me.
Yeah, for sure, I bet. So while you were in college, you're going to be doing some kind of internships, and tell us about that. Were you working with any news stations that really stuck out to you?
Yes. So I had 3 internships. I had one with a commercial production company in Atlanta. I had another that was a virtual internship for just the online meteorology, just kind of resource center more than anything else. And then I had an internship with News 2 in Nashville. And that was going into my senior year, and it was incredible. Danielle Breezy is still a meteorologist there. So News 2 is an ABC station. We at WAAY 31 are an ABC station. So we like that we have that connection. And there was nothing I didn't learn. She was the best, and still is to this day, the best mentor I could have asked for. If she did it, I did it. There was no, well, I'm doing this as the salaried meteorologist. You're just my college intern. You observe me doing it. I think I observed for maybe 2 days. And then the whole rest of the time I was there, it was write this web article, research this, write me a brief on why you think this topic is important, and then let's talk about how you would convey that to the public in layman's terms. What can I help you with scientifically? How can you do this? One day, are you going to take the AMS exam to get your seal, which is the most prestigious thing you can get in our company? Here's a couple of things I want you to know about that. There was nothing she didn't share with me, and it was absolutely awesome.
I know Mississippi State is a great school for meteorology, and I'm sure when you're doing that hands-on experience, there's so much that you're learning that you couldn't have in the classroom. What are some of those things that you learned that surprised you?
So I always said putting on our makeup was my favorite time of the day because she's so busy. She's incredibly talented and incredibly well recognized, so everyone wants a piece of her time.
Yep.
Well, you got to do your makeup before the show. So I would run into the makeup room with all the lights, and that's when she would share the best snippets with me. And she would talk about, she was the one that really instilled in me the importance of being in schools in your community. And she was so true. She said, if you know a community's children, then you know the community, because each kid is a piece of their family and their little town and what their interests are. And you can meet one child, but now you know their whole family. And that has been so true. She talked to me about the importance of just being kind to everybody in the office, of every position, don't just stick to meteorologists, talk to news, talk to production, talk to your bosses, talk to sales, be with everyone, be friends with everybody. And then mostly just about enjoying the job. We're here for a purpose. Our job is to save lives and to save property. And if that's where your enjoyment comes from, that can't be taken away. If you're finding the enjoyment in the lights and the glitz and the dresses and the whatever, that will all fade. But when your purpose is protecting your people, claiming your community as your people, and protecting their possessions, then that doesn't change because that need is always there.
That's amazing advice.
I know. She's incredible and still is to this day. We call each other, I call her my weather aunt. She calls me her weather niece, and we're very, very close.
So did she help you on the next phase when you're looking at where you're going to work, where your journey goes next? Was she kind of mentoring you through that?
She absolutely did. So WAAY 31 reached out to me in October of my senior year, which is significantly earlier than I was prepared to start hearing from news stations. And so I called her frantically, like, I just got an email from a news director. What do? I didn't even know they knew I existed. And she was so calm, cool, and collected. And okay, think about this. You're signing up to spend at least a few years, if not significantly more of your life here. Could you see yourself blending in with this town? Is it, the big thing in weather, is it geographically located with the weather that you want? Hurricanes, they don't really do it for me, to be honest with you. I understand the importance of them, but as far as forecasting, that's not really interesting. So someplace on the coast really wouldn't have been ideal for me. I'm not a big fan of fire weather, so wouldn't have gone anywhere on the West Coast. But here in North Alabama, we have tornadoes, which I was the lightning concentration. So tornadoes and lightning and a little bit of snow, and we have heat waves and hail. Everything that I was interested in is located in this region, and that was really important to me too.
So tell me about your first impression of Huntsville, the people and the community. Was it what you expected from Alabama?
No. So I have a brother that lives in Birmingham, and I thought, well, Huntsville must just be Birmingham 2.0. It is not. Birmingham is awesome. I love it, and I spend a lot of time there, but two completely different towns and two completely different people groups. So raised in Atlanta, I was a city girl, didn't know anything else other than that. My parents were raised in New York City their whole lives till we moved to Atlanta, so that was all I knew. Then I go to small town Mississippi where there's like 3 people in the whole town. Turns out I liked that a lot more, which was shocked everybody, including me. But I toyed for so long with just staying in Starkville. Do I stay to get my master's? Do I stay at a station locally just because I didn't want to leave? I loved that way of life. But I knew that I needed something a little bit bigger. I wanted something just out of reach that I could grow into that still had a lot of that small town Southern charm and that community aspect. And Huntsville was that. I was not expecting it. But my mom and I came in for my interview. We stayed for 2 days. When we first drove into Huntsville, we took by 65. Didn't really know what it was at the time, but I was like, okay, this is nice. And on our way up to the station, up to Montesano, we drove through downtown Huntsville, and then we hit Twickenham. And when we got to those beautiful historic houses, I was like, okay, this is a town. This isn't just a downtown metro area. This is a town where people live, you know? And immediately I looked at her and I said, okay, I'm going to live here. And she said, okay, well, let's go up the mountain. Let's meet who you might be working with. Let's see what that all is like, you know? And I said, okay, but I'm probably going to live here. So like, unless that goes terribly, this is the plan. And then of course came up here and everyone, the drive up the mountain is beautiful. Everyone couldn't have been nicer. They were invested in me. They knew all about me before I had even walked in the building. And so it was like, okay, this is where I'm going. It's the coolest thing. I always prayed, God, make a way, make a way, make a way when I need a job. And we're way. And so I was sitting there and I was like, okay, God made a way.
He's a literary genius.
Yeah.
I love that. So you moved to Huntsville at prime time. And
Yeah.
we won Best City in America, was
Yes.
it? At that time, you got here, 3 years ago?
About, yeah.
So you're coming with the big wave. How many times has someone said to you, well, Huntsville's changed so much in the last 5-10 years?
No less than 4 times a day.
Yeah. I hear it all the time. I grew up a few hours south of here, so I grew up coming here and I saw some of that change, but someone's always going to remind me of it.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the growth that just keeps continuing and the number of people coming in, more people in your community to keep safe? What's your perspective on that?
Oh, my goodness. Such a catch-22. Personally, I think we should put walls around the city and not let in another person. We got a good thing going. Let's just keep our little family orientation here. However, additionally, I don't like change, right? The decor in my house hasn't changed since the day that I moved here because I do things one way and that's how I like it, you know? But then I also remember the opportunity that I was given, someone that didn't even know really that Huntsville existed. I have family friends about an hour away, but really didn't know Huntsville proper. So I wouldn't ever want to deny that to anybody else. And then I like the diversity of Huntsville. I like the people you meet that are from different places, but that all kind of are here for the same reason. And they like it. I like that people like our town. That's why it's so clean. That's why it's so easy to get around. That's why we have places like Providence, like Mid-City, like downtown that are so walkable in Big Spring Park because Huntsvillians like to be in Huntsville. So having more people to share that with is like, all right, yeah, come on board.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you started at WAAY. What is your first major storm that you covered that was an eye-opener for you?
Oh, goodness. So in college, we call it mock severe weather coverage. We archive data from severe storms and tornadoes and things of that nature and go back and cover it as if it were real time. And of course, 22-year-old, 23-year-old me thought, yeah, I've done plenty of severe weather coverage and I saw it in my internship. It's not the same as when you're here. It's definitely not the same as when you're here alone. So at the time I was still on weekends and we had 3 tornadoes at one time. Well, 2 tornadoes at one time, then a small break and then another one. And that was huge. And I just thought, I know exactly what to do. I'm going to remain calm and I'm going to have urgency in my voice that I don't want to scare anybody. And that's how I'm going to do it. And then you realize all of a sudden, wait a minute, I've lived here for 4 months. What is that road 2.5 hours away? I don't even know how to pronounce that. And you're having all these second thoughts while you're on camera of like, how can I keep you safe if I can't pronounce your street name? But then also, I really want you to know about this. And it was just so much going on. Everybody here reached out after and was like, here's what you did well. Here's what you need to work on. And there you go. The next time, which I think was maybe 2 weeks later, we had another tornadic event. It was just a breath of fresh air. It's like, okay, I had been through it before. I knew what I needed to do, and I had that feedback. It was the tornado in Hazel Green that happened back in 2023, in April 2023, and that was a big one. It was probably the largest to this day tornado that I've seen form in real life in real time, and it's so difficult because we're here, right? I'm in Huntsville, so I'm safe from the Hazel Green tornado. I know that's not going to hit me and hurt me, but I feel every ounce of it for you. And my job is to protect you. And not just during it, before. Because if I tell you there's a tornado right now and you need to evacuate, it's too late. You needed to know that 3 days ago, So it really pulls on your heartstrings. And I feel the same way during hurricanes of, I just wish I was there with you. I just wish there was more that I could do. I wish I could tell you. I wish I could see that you're okay, watch you evacuate your house. So they're all very memorable, but that was the first time that I ever felt just a sense of protection of like, I need to protect you right now. What can I do to keep you safe? And you're just waiting for it to end so that you can get the report of, okay, everyone's okay, you're good. And it's like your family with them,
Yeah. So you talk about when the storm happened and you had the second guesses and, oh my goodness, what's the name of that street? Am I going to pronounce it the right way? I've noticed, and I know you learned this in school, but you do a great job of thinking on your feet and having those like go-to statements. I mentioned this to you before, like what to know before you walk out the door and those sorts of things, which I am a literature nerd and English and grammar and all the things. So I always find that very interesting. Did you have a class that they told you like, this is the statement that you're going to say before you tell them to walk out the door in the morning, or here's the way you should approach that. I don't know. Like, I feel like there should be a whole class or series of classes just to really hone in that skill.
Well, you've been on the head. Yeah, there are. So it's called Practicum. This is basically our green screen class. You take it for 2 years straight. And our professor, Lindsay Poe, she is just absolutely famous at Mississippi State because she is that good at her job. And she takes you from a little nothing, your first day on the green screen, to all the way when you graduate and helping you negotiate your TV contract. And it varies per person, right? Some people, she would say like, okay, see if you can say something funny or see if you can do like that. And with me, she would say, okay, you're thinking in your head, when I get to this slide, I'm going to say something funny here and they're going to love it. And she was like, it's two-staged. This has got to just flow from you naturally. People are going to know if this is so planned out. But I'm the most type A person in the world. So I was like, what do you mean? What else is there to not
plan it?
I know. I was like, I have a timed out list. What are you talking about? So worked a lot with her on that. My internship was a lot of help in that as well. But we talked a lot about, we say connect the dots for our viewers. So when you're watching me on TV, there's a lot happening for you, right? Like I'm there. You have to see me as a person. My hands are moving, so that's something visual. I'm talking to you. You're listening to me. And there's graphics behind me that are usually moving and have multiple points of data. So there's a lot that I'm asking you to focus on at one time. If I'm also asking you to say, when I say at 5 o'clock, it's going to rain, and you have to think, oh my gosh, at 5 o'clock, I'm just picking my kids up from daycare, or that's when I'm coming home from work, or and just start dinner at 5 o'clock. Now you're not hearing the next thing I said. That's too much for you.
Right.
So as someone on TV, I can make that easier for you by saying at 5 p.m. when you're just heading home from work, because now I've kind of connected those dots for you and you can stay with me. So we worked a lot on that of, okay, at 8 a.m., where would you be normally? What are times of your day what would you normally be doing? How can I present a forecast that caters to your daily routine-oriented needs?
Are there any times where you have just totally messed that up and said, like, I would have nights where I would be trying to go to sleep and remember if I said something on live television that just didn't make any sense. And I've never seen you do it, but I just wonder, is that so...
Trust me, it happens. Often I just laugh at it. The other day, I think I went through at least 3 slides of saying on Monday, on Monday, on Monday. And then I just looked at the camera and I said, it's Wednesday. And I've been saying all day Monday. And I said, everything I just said today on Wednesday. And just kind of are you kidding me? You just have to kind of roll with it. There are definitely those times, without question.
So what's it been like learning and working with Jeff Castle, chief meteorologist?
It's been great. It's been great. So when I started here, there were several different situations happening with chief meteorologist. He came in after I had been here about 1.5 years, close to 2 years at that point, I guess 1.5 years. And I was a little unsure, what do you do when you have a new boss, And he has made it so easy on us. He is so personal. He is so kind. He goes out of his way to talk to us. There's ever times that, so we forecast independently and then we come together at the end of the day and kind of make a joint decision. So that way no one has bias on one forecast or the other. And he's been so great with communication. He is very encouraging. I've really enjoyed getting to work with him.
You're waking up at 2 a.m. 5 days a week. What keeps you energized?
Nothing and everything at the same time. I have really great people here that I work with, and that makes it exciting to wake up, but also just the passion of what I get to do. When I was in high school, I shadowed at the Weather Channel, and I shadowed with Kelly Cass. She was outstanding, and I was 17 at the time, so it's kind of a bold question for her to ask me, but they have great facilities there in Atlanta. In the studio we were in at the time, it had 2 French glass doors, and she put her hands on the handles of the doors, and before she opened it, she turned back and looked at me and said, "Are you sure this is what you want to do with your life?" And I thought, I don't know, I'm 17. Maybe it's what I want to try this week, And she said, well, I ask you that because what happens behind these doors in this studio is so exciting and so fast paced and so unlike any other career out there. Once you see this is all that's going to be enough for you. So if there's something else you want to go try first and come back, go do that. And I said, no, I think I really want to try this, especially after hearing that in like a movie, she had her hands on the doors that she slid open the French doors and there was the camera lights in the studio and there were all cameramen in there, with the headsets on. I was like, what? It was like walking into Narnia. I was like, what is this? And then, of course, I sat there and it was everything she said it was going to be. It was fast paced and it was exciting. And she had great personality on AMHQ mornings at the time and just made it all so intriguing and exciting. I was like, I have to do this. And now here I am living that. So every day that alarm goes off, I'm like, you're kidding me. But I'm also like, yeah, but look at what I get to do.
Yeah. So chemistry was not your strong suit. You loved physics. Yes. I feel like that's rare for a woman to love physics, and they should. I would love to change that narrative. Tell me how that kind of ties into Grace's Girls Club and the STEM work you do there.
Yes, in so many ways, right? More ways than one. So Gracie's Girls Club is just about to have its 30th episode that airs, where I just highlight local women in STEM. A lot of them, not directly physicists, but involved in physics, which to me is just like a hardcore science, like I'm like, yeah, good for us, I feel like it's so cool. It's a very physical science. We see rockets explode and move into space. And so the women that I'm interviewing in Grace's Girls Club, whether their passion is physics or chemistry or psychology or engineering or whatever it might be, they feel that same way about whatever their trade is. So I kind of took my interest in something that's a little more niche and thought, okay, well, I can't be the only one like this. Let's talk to the people who also feel the same way. And you should see the Gracious Girls Club interviews. The full ones are posted on our website. But we just sit there and nerd out together. And we're like, oh my gosh, do you remember when we were taking differential equations in college? And they're like, oh my gosh, yes. And organic chemistry, we just have these great conversations. Because we kind of exist in this own little niche world, but we all went through it together.
Yeah.
And it's been amazing. I've had one group that's still in high school, several others that are right out of college, several others that are getting ready to retire, and we all talk about our science and our trade, and we celebrate that we did it, that other girls can do it and younger girls can do it. And the hub that we live in where people elevate this and they say, you are so smart, you are so accomplished and capable, let's share that with everybody and really support you. The backing in the community has been unbelievable. And the diversity in the community, never did I expect so many large companies to have their board of directors or their C-suites, so many of them female. And they are. And every one of them just feels stronger and more educated than the next. And that's been outstanding to be a part of.
I'm so fortunate to be in a community that's that way. That's so rare, especially in the South. And yeah, it's so exciting to have that kind of science-based community here. And especially with the women being so involved in it, I get very excited about that.
It is. It absolutely is. And I've loved that too. I did just see the time though. I have started getting ready to the show. Do you want to walk and talk? Walk and talk. Okay.
Welcome to the office. Thank you. So this is my first screen. Yes. And then these are our cameras. So everyone always asks, do you have a teleprompter? No. The anchors do, and the reporters do. Meteorologists do not. Our camera is actually a mirror. So where the teleprompter would be is a mirror, and that's how we see where we're pointing. And on either side of us are confidence monitors. So the thing is, when you're on TV, if you just turn to the side, you look like you just turned to the side. So you face forward, and you kind of put your right leg behind you. And then you lean with your hip into the green screen. So that kind of makes the illusion of your body turning, even though really technically you're still in an angle. And then you turn your chin towards the green screen, but you leave the top of your head where it is. So that way you can look at the monitor with your eyes, but it looks like you're looking back here. So that you're not just standing straight looking at it. It kind of gives the green screen illusion. We kind of play a lot with our distances. So like on this map where I am, if I wanted to point to 6 a.m., that's too far for my arm. So you take a step forward and then you just do a slight point and it puts you right there. And that's kind of a little bit of green screen magic for someone drunk. 8, 12. So you can do Barbie hands. That's this one. It's Barbie hands. I do a lot of 2-finger pointing, especially if I'm circling something like a tornado. You can just point to something regular. And then sometimes I flip-flop. People always say I have like princess hands, which was never planned. I guess that's just a personality trait. But I'll point and I'll be like, and you just feel all dainty when you do it.
Can you be a Disney princess? A weather Disney princess?
I click one of those Disney like, da, da, da.
Oh, let's see it.
Hi, I'm Grace Anello, and you're watching WAAY TV. Ding!
That's so good. Oh, that's awesome. So let's finish out the rest of our episode interview here.
Okay.
So we have a couple questions to ask Grace, a little bit more personal, and then we're going to go into some rapid fire questions. We're going to see how competitive she is and how fast she can think on her feet, which we know is fast. First, though, you did say this at some point, and I thought it was very interesting. You said that after a long day, you get very tired of your own voice.
Yes.
So when you get home and you decompress, what does that go-to self-care routine look like?
Through a cooked tea. We have it all the time because we talk so much. That's my absolute go-to. Otherwise, you will notice it, and I'll get fewer comments like, "Are you feeling okay? Your voice sounds different," you know? But I just get tired of hearing my own voice, so I'll listen to anybody else. Like, I'll listen to music, but I won't sing the words. Or I'll watch TV. Or if I'm really tired in the car, I'll just drive the whole way home with silence. No radio, no window sound, no nothing. Just like the overstimulation of it, I guess, you know? And so, or sometimes, the other day, my sweet, sweet mom, who I literally love more than anything in the world, she called and I texted her back and said, "Just get talk to you right now. Can you text me instead?" And she said, "Sure."
Well, that's a little sad, but also like good for you for learning your boundaries.
That's that flexibility, right? You need people to be flexible with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I feel like, well, at least my long day, I come home and I take a long bath.
Yes.
A bath for hours, so you have to refill the hot water several times if it's gotten cold.
Naturally.
Yeah, yeah.
So I like a salad. Then I'll sit on the couch, I'll watch TV for maybe a half an hour, go to the gym a couple days a week, go on a walk some other days a week. Then I take my nap. And then I wake up and I just love to cook. So I get so excited, like the second I wake up from the nap, I'm like, what am I making for dinner, you know? And then I'll go do whatever that is and then hit the hay.
What's your favorite kind of food to cook?
So I really I like to make lasagna the best. So it's my all-time favorite thing. Our family, we have it every Christmas Eve. It was like a big deal. My mom was teaching me to make my first lasagna. But it's so heavy, it fills you up so much, so I don't make it that often. I like to eat, like when I make chicken piccata, that's probably my favorite thing to eat, or salmon. But as far as making it, it's definitely the lasagna. I feel like it just breaks out the account.
Gotta say, with your roots, you gotta make stuff good.
It's out of it. Yeah.
On the chef's time when I'm really hungry. Chicken piccata.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, we are gonna go into these rapid fire questions. Is that right?
Ready?
All right. Favorite time of the day?
11 a.m.
Favorite genre of music?
Country.
Favorite color?
Red.
Favorite meal of the day?
Meal. Dinner.
Favorite food at that meal?
Sang. Bushing.
Sweet or savory?
Savory.
Those are stickers.
Tiger.
Window or out seat?
Window.
Biggest pet peeve?
When people go on tangents and stories. 1 or 2 I can handle, 7 is too much.
Fair. Guilty pleasure?
Chocolate.
Best vacation you've been on?
The beach. Any sand.
And best advice you've ever received?
Oh, that's not a rapid fire question. Like, you went blue or red. Okay, let me think about this. Best advice I've ever received. Let's see. Realize where your purpose comes from, right? So, we're called by God to have our purpose and have our job, and that's where our identity has to come from. Not in our own success in that field, or not even in the friends we have with people we associate with. Those things are important. But realizing the true purpose of my joy comes from being where the Lord told me to be, that's the only thing that's the same. And I've learned that the hard way. Every time I've kind of differed a little bit, the joy has definitely gone down, and it's noticeable. So staying connected to the mind in that way.
Thank you so much. Thank you for talking this.
Thank you so much for having me. You guys are the best. This was so fun. I would say my day.
Perfect.